Happy Friday. We've got another episode of the Call Up here. Aram Layton, Jack McMullen, Jack from Chicago. It's your
Yep.
first homecoming on the, I guess, big league tour in your rookie season here. I'm sure your phone is blowing up. So thanks for taking some time, man, to record a really fun episode with me. We're gonna do eight. I realized I didn't even talk about what we're gonna talk about. Eight pitching prospects whose stock is rising, and then some other fun headlines that I know we've been wanting to talk about for a little bit.
You just welcomed me on like a guest, brother.
I
I'm
know
here
that
every
because
day.
I know I welcomed you on like a guest because I feel like you are taking time out of your day to record this with me. I mean, you've got a game you got to call. You've got every person you've ever met in your entire life reaching out to you
Yeah.
right now because
Yeah.
you're in town. It's got to be crazy.
And some brothers of every person that I've ever met. So like the term everybody and their brother, like
Hmm.
that's I feel like who I've heard from. But you know what? It's for an introvert like me, it's great because
Yeah,
I just
get
thrust
out of your
myself
comfort
into
zone.
this. Yeah, man. It's like let's think beyond the box here for the next 6 days. I think I'm gonna be really excited to just go into obscurity of Anaheim and San Diego next road trip. That'll be great for me.
San Diego's going to be sweet.
It's gonna be
I'm
sweet.
jealous of that.
Anaheim too, man. The Burbs. I'm just excited to shut it down. Off day in Anaheim, might go to Santa Anita, the horse racing. Like I
Ooh,
don't know, we've got some options here. But
I love it.
Chicago's been really fun. And I texted you. You can kill the man, but not the idea. And it's Lance Lynn to Bryce Wilson. Like that's
Yes,
just what's going on here. I was looking at the pitch mix. Everything is 86 to 91, and it all doesn't get whiffs, but like he still has success sometimes.
I watched Vayante Bayozo go. What was it? It's 5 2/3
Five and a third, one hit, no runs, and he
against
K'd
the
seven.
Dodgers.
It was awesome.
That
I
was that was
loved
fun.
watching that.
That was special. You never know. You never
He's
know. I
also,
think the new low stuff guys is going to be the new wave.
oh yeah, I will say he's also the man, Valente
Oh
Belloso. Like
yeah,
that guy thinks about pitching in a way that is very unique. Like if you're looking for a fun little watch where you would not be expecting it, Valente Belloso for Marlins
I
games.
love that. He just seems like it as well. And actually, the funny thing is, all eight pitchers that we're going to be talking about have insane stuff,
Yeah,
and it's
right.
all taken a huge leap this year, and that's why we're going to highlight them as stock rising. But before that, I know some other things we wanted to get into, including maybe the 2024 draft class is a lot better than we gave it credit for. And
Hmm.
some people out there, I think, actually said it was, I forget what the exact word was, but there were some really harsh words thrown out about the 2024 draft class as we were going into the draft. It's pretty good now. It's pretty
Yeah,
good. I
it's
think,
almost like baseball's really good. It's
yeah.
almost like college baseball and high school baseball's really good right now. So when you think that there's not a slam dunk Skeens, Cruz, or Langford, maybe other guys pop out. Maybe Connor Griffin can be awesome, and maybe Rayner can be awesome, and maybe Bazana and Weatherall can be great, and like Cam Smith, dude. I mean, it's just crazy to call a draft bad before anything happens.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny because, I could understand the argument that, and people were talking about maybe it's not as deep. And I get that side of it. But now you're already looking at it, and Baseball America just came out with their updated top 100, and it fourth round pick and fifth round pick. One of the guys we're going to talk about in a little bit, Brandon Clarke, it was in the back end of that top 100. Peyton Tolley was in the back end of that top 100. Those guys or Tolley was the second round pick, but you had
Yeah,
guys outside of the first round that are looking really, really good all of a sudden. I mean, Ryan Sloan got first round money, but he was taken in the second round. He looks like one of the rising stars now, potentially at the lower levels, as a guy that could be an impressive arm. We're going to talk about him in a moment as well. Several guys from this draft class actually tie right into this pitchers whose stock is rising because they're absolutely shoving and exceeding expectations out of the gate. But then it's also just the guys at the top. Bryce Rayner, he was hammered for the questions around the hit tool. And of course, I think both prep guys were, right? Connor Griffin as well. And I think there's still questions to be answered there in terms of, is he going to be able to hit enough to attain a ceiling? But Bryce Rayner and Connor Griffin could not be off to better starts to their professional careers. And I think could not be, doing things more impressively from a data perspective. Bryce Rayner, so far in 18 games, has a hard hit rate of 57%. He's
wow.
a 90th percentile exit velocity of 108.6 miles per hour. He's 19. This is a 6'3", 195-pound shortstop that's probably only going to get stronger. There's a chance this kid has plus power if it all
Yeah.
comes together. And then Connor Griffin, I don't need to tell you on that. We've talked about him. He looks like he could be like a five-tool stud.
Right. There are so many things within this that like jump out to me. And starting with Rayner, for me, obviously the ability needs to come along and it needs to fine tune so many things, as do every pretty much high school player. But McGonigal came in as one of the higher floor guys that we've seen. And that's a different type of mold than Rayner because Rayner, the thing is, he could have some prodigious power. McGonigal just has a better feel to hit than
Mhm.
anybody in minor league baseball. But McGonigal bumped his ETA by 2 years with
Yeah.
what he did in his first pro season.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering what Rayner can do to his ETA in his first pro season.
Yeah. No, and I mean with the swing decisions as well, where you're looking at
Yeah.
it, he's chasing 18% of the time. So that's going to make me a lot less concerned about a fringy hit tool, especially when he's getting into these EVs. He's already popping 114s. He's had games where he's popped multiple 110, 111s. Like it's pretty crazy to see this already. And beyond that, then you look at the college guys. And I think that was another reason why this class was kind of knocked down a bit
Yeah.
is there's not a ton of college depth. Well, we talked about some of the college arms that are already impressing that weren't taken in the first round. Cam Smith just jumped straight to the big leagues. Jack Caglione looks like he's exceeding a lot of expectations of a lot of people that were maybe a little bit more skeptical on him. Waldschmidt, Ryan Waldschmidt looks awesome in the Diamondbacks organization. Slade Caldwell, who's a high school guy, but was their second pick, is off to a good start. Like it's pretty cool to see. And I know it's a marathon, not a sprint, but it is interesting. We talk about how good baseball has been at every level now and how these players keep getting better and better and better and better. And for whatever reason, I think, we felt like the draft may be a little bit weaker last year. And again, maybe depth wise, it may not stack up with some other years. But I do think when we look at this now already, it's probably easy to say, hey, this is probably better than we thought. Again,
Of
Burns
course.
is shoving. Weatherholt is swinging it really well in Double A. Kurtz is already in the show. Like I don't know if this could have been expected across the board, or at least it wasn't made out to be anticipated to have this kind of result.
No, and you have the intrigue of Durangelo Senja. You've got the intrigue of Senja. You've got the Yankee top two picks, Ben Hess and Bryce
They've
Cunningham,
been
both
awesome.
shoving. Like,
Hess
I,
was
I mean,
lights out yesterday, by the way.
yeah, dude, like Blake Burke, we've seen what this guy can do, and it's just absolutely insane. And then you go to the round three, and you got guys like Hartle and Joey Oki and Thatcher Hurd, and like there are guys that already jump out. Gage Jump, who we're going to talk about in a matter of moments. Like there are so many good things to like here, which again, it's just so weird to call a draft bad before anything happens
Yeah.
in pro ball. I understand the NBA because you get a little bit more of like that sample where you can say, oh, like this college crop is really bad, and the high school guys, there's no quote unquote generational talent. With baseball, development is so nonlinear that you need to give these guys a minute
Yeah.
just to get in and like, hey, you want to give them an off season? Let's see what can happen after one off season. I'm kind of pro not judging drafts until we're 3 years down the line.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can get excited about them as they happen and check in and say, okay, the stock of this draft is going up and up. Like Dazon Hill, I think, was also a comp B pick, 69th
Yeah.
overall by the Twins. He's, I think, snuck into Baseball America's top 100. Mike Sirota is off to a great start with the Dodgers. He was a third round pick college guy. So it's been cool to see these guys perform. And I think it's a cool kind of learning lesson for us as well, because I think even at points we're echoing the same sentiment of, this draft class might be weaker. Like it
Yeah.
just became this overarching narrative that just everybody, I think, just grabbed onto and just like ran with. And I think this class has a chance to be really solid when we look back at it.
Did you see what Grant Shepherdson did in his pro debut at the complex?
No.
Grant Shepherdson, I got to pull this up here because he absolutely shoved in his first appearance in pro ball. Grant Shepherdson, fifth round pick last year out of high school. This guy in his first start, where is it? I got to find it on like the portal because Baseball Reference doesn't even have it just yet. But I mean, it was like 5 innings of perfect baseball or whatever it
I
was.
got it. I'll try to find it real quick. But at the
Here we go.
complex,
I've got it. 3 1 hit, no runs, no walks, 5 Ks, 45 pitches at the complex.
yeah, I think he'll
Like,
be
dude,
moving off there quick.
yeah, I mean, like, there are so many guys round one through round 10 through round 11 that are good, and we just gave them an off season to get better.
John Holobetz. He
Sure.
was already moved for Quinn Priester. He was off to a great start on the mighty Carolina Mudcats. So
Yeah,
yeah,
sure.
it's been cool to see. But high ceiling side of things of this draft, I think, is fascinating because to tie a bow on it, you
Yeah.
have Burns looking like he's trending closer to being a potential frontline arm. You have Caglione looking like he may hit enough now to achieve that outlandish power ceiling. And then you have Rayner and Griffin, one, hedging the hit tool concerns that came with them, and
Yeah.
two, validating all of the excitement around the projectable tools by tapping into them, I think, earlier than anybody would have expected. So
Yeah.
those guys could be stars. And then again, in a draft where Cam Smith goes 14, and it's a, let's say it was a quote unquote weak draft, the 14th pick was a headliner for Kyle Tucker, who then ended up making this Astros team that's still trying to make the playoffs and is not a rebuilding team. Like,
Right.
it might be a decent draft. And also shout out Trey Savage, who has looked
Yeah.
fantastic, 20th pick in the draft for the Blue Jays, and he looks like he's going to be pitching his way up through the minor leagues pretty quickly.
Yeah, man. We got options, boss.
Yep, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun to keep checking in on this class. But a couple other topics before we get to the top 8 pitchers.
Yeah, there's one other. Jonny Farmelo is back
Yeah.
in, pro baseball, and he's raking again. Look at Jonny Farmelo, man. I mean, obviously Colt Emerson is the headline of the Mariners organization as it stands right now, but I mean, dude, you get past Colt Emerson, Cole Young, Laz Montes, like don't forget Jonny Farmelo is a fringe top 50 prospect in all of baseball. And you were talking about how loud the tools were before he went down last year with the torn ACL. He's back from that ACL tear, and man, like he's still tooled out beyond belief.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see him work his way back and just kind of get his legs back under him again. But to homer in your first game back, and then it was 2 knocks after that, and then he homered the game after that. Last couple games, I think that adjustment period started to come back some, and all of a sudden, by the way, the the Angels are using Chris Cortez as a starter now, which is funny. So like I just noticed that when I was looking at the game logs, and I think he was throwing fuzz, and that was probably tough to time up for Farmelo, like
Sure.
just getting back. But uh, other than that, just looking at what Farmelo is able to do, it looks like he's running well already again, which is great to see. The speed and power potential combination is really exciting, and there's just consistently been good swing decisions and a good feel to hit. I think it's going to be maybe a little bit slow to just fully get back to where he was last year. Because last year, I mean, we're talking about 88% in zone contact, sub 20 chase rate, above average exit velocities as a 19-year-old. Like that was incredibly impressive. I think is the fact that he's already getting into that power early here. I think it'll take a little bit of time to get back into the rhythm and the hit tool side of things and the swing decision side of things. But I'm really excited to kind of see what he can do this year. Judging by he got back a little bit earlier than we expected. So I think it's going to be nice that he has this longer and larger body of work. But it's also worth noting he's not only coming back from a torn ACL, he's coming back from a torn ACL and climbing from low A to high A. Like he tore
Yeah.
his ACL in low A, he's returning and playing in high A. So to hit the 2 home runs already, I think is really encouraging. And there may be some swing and miss as he adjusts and also just gets back. But I think you got to feel really good about how he's looked coming back from a serious injury.
Yep. Let's play a game by the end of the season, and I'm discounting guys that are going to be graduated by the end of the season. So like Roman Anthony will be graduated. Walker Jenkins will be the top outfield prospect in baseball at that point if he doesn't graduate. Dylan Cruz is graduated. Zaire Hope, okay, he's ahead of Farmelo. And then you keep on scrolling. Dominguez will be graduated. Emmanuel Rodriguez, you hope he'll be graduated. Josue De Paula is ahead of Farmelo. And then you keep on going, man. Campbell will be graduated. Connor Griffin, Keyshaw will be graduated. Max Clarke, Owen Casey, Chase DeLauder, Charlie Condon, and then it's Jonny Farmelo. Like, there's a chance that Farmelo is a top 4 or 5
Yeah,
outfield prospect in all of baseball by the end of this year.
100%. I agree, especially if the glove's looking, I think as advertised as he works his way back in center field. And, I think they've been DHing him like every fourth game. I think that's the plan. But assuming he can play through the season healthy and keep doing what he was doing last year, I absolutely think he could be a top 5 outfield prospect in baseball, which you got to be excited about that if you're a Mariners fan with, Colt Emerson. And of course, Cole Young is getting close now to a big league debut. But when you look at, I think the ceiling side of things, it's really fun because Emerson has I think a lot of potential from the power perspective and can be a really fun blend of that. And then I think Farmelo can give you, exciting upside as well.
For sure. And then don't forget about Ty Pete, who's still scratching the surface.
Yeah.
Is he playing center now? What's the deal?
Yeah, they got him in the outfield, thank goodness. And he's been mostly playing center, a little bit of left, and he's striking out a lot, but he's hitting the
Oh,
ball
man.
really, really hard. So he does look pretty good out there for a guy that's just taking it on. It's still just
Good.
19.
Good. Okay. Ty Pete, that's an interesting one to monitor. But, like, again, if they hit on Farmelo and Emerson, that is absolutely a
Ooh.
great run of three.
Oh yeah, and it's a good
Great
shot
run.
to take with Pete. Like he's validating at least that he has the tools and like is worth you know taking the chance there to see what could happen. And it just may take a little bit longer than the other guys, and they knew that when they took him.
Yep. Okay, we are going to get to the eight pitching prospects whose stock is on the rise right now. And we're going to start with a guy that we actually just talked about, Brandon Clarke of the Boston Red Sox. I've got Clarke's numbers here that I'm pulling up, and I'll just give them to you before I let you roll. But Clarke, big guy at 6'4", 220, fifth round pick last year out of the State College of Florida. Brandon Clarke through four starts, three of which in low A in his high A debut. Four starts, 14 and a third, three hits, one earned run. He struck out 24 and walked two. We talked about him a bit on the Red Sox top prospect list, but why is this guy allowed three hits and 14 and a third?
It's crazy, man. Like it just seems like such an uncomfortable AB for hitters where it's 97. He's averaging 97.5 on the fastball. He's getting I would say pretty much plus extension. It's well above average extension, and it's a slight crossfire. So I think it's just got to be getting on hitters so quick, and then the slider off of that is just absolutely wipeout. And I think that's that's the big pitch that has just made hitters have no chance. Where I think they're sped up, especially lower level guys, so
Yeah.
sped up by upper 90s with great extension from a low release and a crossfire, and then you're trying to catch up to that, and then you get this 88 mile per hour slider that's just ripping away from you. Opponents are 0 for 21 against his slider with 15 strikeouts.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Whoa.
yeah, 63% in zone whiff rate. Like you have no chance. So I mean, we'll see. I think the thing that I'm interested in is when he gets to double A, it is very fastball slider heavy. When he gets to double, and hitters have a little bit more of an approach, and they've maybe seen, and they're not seeing a lot of stuff like this, but they've seen stuff that's pretty insane at that point. In Double A, there's a lot of guys that have some crazy stuff. I want to see how that two pitch mix works, but I honestly think Brandon Clarke's a guy that could ride the two pitches to success all the way through the minor leagues. He's tried the curveball a little bit and it's flashed. It looks like a decent pitch actually in the low 80s. He just hasn't landed it as consistently. But if that pitch is a pretty consistent strike for him, then I mean you have a well-rounded mix here and pretty insane stuff. So the big thing with him was health and throwing strikes, and so far he looks healthy. So far he's throwing strikes, and they're starting to stretch him out already. Where it was like kind of 35 pitches or 40
Yeah.
pitches first time out. Last time out in his high A debut, he threw 57. So I want to see if he can keep holding that velo, in 60, 70, 80 pitches. But
Yeah.
he averaged 97.5 throwing 57 pitches. So it seems like he's pretty comfortable so far being stretched out.
It's such a small sample, but just like watching the way that he delivers the baseball and the way the slider kind of works away from lefties, I feel like at the end of the year, we're going to be talking about left on left matchups against him, resulting in like a very low 100s batting
Yeah.
average
Oh, yeah.
against. Like, I'd be surprised if lefties hit over a buck 50 against him. I'd be surprised if lefties and righties combined hit over a buck 50 against him this year with the way that he's trending.
Yeah.
But he probably needs a curveball if he's going to get
Yeah.
major league righties out. He is going to be a night terror for left-handed hitters. Like regardless, it could be Harper, it could be Soto, it could be Otani. He's going to be a nightmare
Mm-hmm.
for them, just with the way that he kind of crossfires and how much bite he gets on that slider
With the extension.
with the extension.
The way the stuff works off of itself is really really impressive, and he's got like two fastballs too. One's a little bit more of a four seamer, one's more of that two seamer. So
Yeah.
those looks I think help a lot as well from that lower release. And the last thing on him though, as you alluded to, I think you're hoping if you're the Red Sox that you can develop him into this stuffy starter, which you could really dream on exciting upside there. But very clearly, he could also just be fast tracked as a disgusting high leverage reliever with that
Yeah,
fastball slider combination.
I don't see much of a point in that because we're so young in the maturation and he's been so good as a starting
I
pitcher.
agree.
So I feel like they're going to give him every chance over the next however many years to
Yeah,
start. I bet they give him 4 years as a starting pitcher.
you might as well give him some time. And but the nice thing is the fallback. I think he's a big league bullpen arm at least.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Next guy that we got to talk about here is Hunter Barco, who just got the promotion to AAA Indianapolis. Barco was amazing with AA Altoona to open the year. He did not allow an
No.
earned run, and this guy, like, I don't know, he was really exciting. We talked about him a good bit last year, but second round pick of the Pirates in 2022 out of Florida was sidelined with Tommy John surgery. Last year, 66 innings at a 3.27 ERA. Has yet to make his AAA debut, but in 25 and two-thirds innings this year with AA Altoona, 11 hits, 34 punch-outs, and 7 walks. Was he just better than everybody else at the AA level?
Yeah. I mean, but it's just crazy to see the level of dominance where he's just not allowing any runs.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of the last time we've seen a guy just open up the season with 25 and two thirds of zero earned run. It's not even just zero runs, like not even
Yeah.
an unearned run. He's definitely too good, and I think that's why they quickly moved him up to triple. And also, it's another guy that creates a really deceptive look, and that's why he was effective even when he first came back from TJ at 91 miles per hour at low A, because it's this Nick Lodolo type of release, but then he
Yes.
gets carry, he gets run and ride on the fastball, and then that slider is really nasty. It's gyro slider off of that, and then I think the separator that's made him pretty much untouchable in Double A this year is that he's really found that splitter. And you think about that, like from a horizontal release, having a splitter is kind of nuts. I don't even know what that would look like to a hitter. Fastball's getting run and ride to the arm side. Splitter just drops down from there with a little bit of run. And then the slider is gyro and will cut a little bit to the glove side. It's a really, really uncomfortable at bat. And it's a guy that I think is going to be effective both against lefties and righties. And I think because of that release, he actually may be even more effective against righties, which you want from a lefty like that, because he can go fastball heavy left on left and just make them uncomfortable. And that's exactly what he has done. But I think the clear thing is with that fastball now at 93.5, with the
Yeah.
characteristics and the unique release that he has, it's playing like a plus, easy plus fastball. And then
Yeah.
it's really setting up these secondaries. The slider's always been good for him. It's probably an above average pitch in a vacuum, but plays up beyond that because of the way the fastball sets it up and the delivery. And then now you
Yeah.
have the splitter that looks like an above average third pitch. And all of that's playing up with the delivery, and the command is getting better and the velocity's higher. Like, this is a really solid arm that I think is a great chance of at least being a four. But
Yep.
he looks like he can push a little bit maybe beyond that with just the execution, and also a lot of contact on the ground. 50% ground ball rate so far this year.
I, for one, am stunned that Carmen Baginski has a 6.2 ERA through 7 starts. But, I mean, by the end of the year, we're going to be looking at a Pirate rotation, barring injury, of Skeens, Jones, Chandler, Barco, Harrington. I assume they move Heaney, and I think they would be smart to move Keller for some offensive help. And that is a young, controllable, dynamite rotation. And all of the rhetoric surrounding the Pirate rotation coming into this year, that was without Bubba, that was without Harrington, that was without Hunter Barco. You get better with all of those guys in the fold. So if they can move a Keller and they can move a Heaney who's throwing the ball well, and they can move a Falter and they can move an Oviedo or a Majinski for some hitting help, like next year could be the year that the Pirates start to look really formidable. But we'll see. Much easier said than done, obviously. And again, they might need to give Carmen Baginski 5 more starts here.
Yeah. What's interesting is, I didn't even really think about because we just talked about Skeens and Bubba and Jones, hopefully when healthy. And the fact that Barco's stock is rising like this just furthers that equation. As you
Yeah.
mentioned, like the Pirates just have a ridiculous list of not only good young arms, good young arms that are already in the upper levels.
Yeah.
So yeah, I
They're
mean,
there. They're knocking on the door. What else does Thomas Harrington need to do in AAA to start every fifth day for the Pirates? I know that like it didn't go well for his first 2 starts up there, but like he's going to be up there in September, and it's going to work in 2026.
Yeah, I agree with you. And so they're in a really good spot from a pitching perspective, but it doesn't feel like that because they're not really doing much on in the other aspects of things. So this will be a really defining deadline. I think the Pirates should be even more comfortable moving arms, especially one of the lefties, because you have a Barco on the way who I think is just so high floor. At the very least, you're getting a good back into the rotation arm.
Yep. Okay, next guy that we got to talk about is Nolan McLean of the New York Mets. McLean, to this point, just got the bump up to AAA Syracuse, by the way. Nolan McLean this year, 5 starts with AA Binghamton, 26 and a third innings at a 1.37 ERA. In 26 and a third, 20 hits, 4 runs. He struck out 30 and walked 12. The walk number is still a little scary, and it's actually higher than it has been,
Hmm.
but he's missing a lot of bats, and he throws like a big boy. He
Oh yeah.
throws like somebody that's not afraid of just peppering the strike zone, and it's been fun to watch, man. I am really excited to see what AAA hitters do with a guy like this.
I am too. And it's funny because somebody responded, or Dylan Short, one of my favorite guys out
Yeah.
there, does a great job covering the Braves and one of my favorite talk radio spots. But he responded to the article, which is linked in the episode description, like which one of these guys are going to get traded for Devers, and I was like, well. I could imagine the Red Sox brass would be salivating at the opportunity to acquire a McLean because also I've heard McLean is it McLean? It looks like McLean, but again I watch every game on volume off. So, but as you research that, I'll dig into this. He can spin the ball as well as anybody in the minor leagues, and that's why I was so hell bent on him focusing on pitching. And this was the first off season where he could lock in on just pitching because McLean was hitting and pitching up until he got to double A last year. And then at that point, I think seeing double A arms, it's like, all right, let's can this this hitting thing a little bit, even though he was running into some homers. Allows him to focus on it the entire offseason, really optimize those pitch shapes and just dig deeper into who he can be as a starter. And some of the shifts I even already saw going into this year that really have me buying into what he can do is his two seam shape is more optimized and a tick harder. So he actually added a little bit more ride to the two seamer and a bit more run, but more ride, relatively speaking, which I think is you'd think, oh, well, don't you want it to kind of drop down? Yeah, but not from his release because he's such a low release guy. Having a little bit more ride, I think, allows it to get some swings and misses, but still guys are going to swing over that. Then he's got the four seamer that also gained an inch of vert and looks like he's commanding it a bit better. And then he tightened up the breaking balls and also has just adjusted what he's doing there, where he's throwing you three different types. So he'll throw a cutter that flirts with the low 90s that looks gross, this outlandish sweeper that he really tightened up this past season, and then this upper 70s sweeping curveball that averages like 10 inches of vert and 18 inches of horizontal. It's like 3,200 RPM. It's ridiculous. So he just has this feel to spin the baseball, and that's such a fun template to continue to work with. And you hook him up to the Rapsodo machine and just play with grips and see what comes out. Like this is the kind of guy that I feel like every spring training could be like, oh, he's working on a new pitch and he just spawns some new freak pitch. Like he's got
Yeah.
the ability to do that.
Jacob Wilkins is the lead voice of Double A Binghamton. I think he does a tremendous job, and he goes with McLean. So from here on out, Nolan
Lynn
McLean,
McLean.
not McLean. So apologies to Nolan and all of his friends and family that listen to the call up every single episode. But
Yeah, I'm sure.
uh, yeah, man. I mean, it's really fun to watch, and like it's just so smooth and controlled through the delivery, and like no hitter should look this good on the mound. And there are even points where like you've got some of these former two-way guys that just look like they're riding this rotational power.
Yeah.
For him, it's a lot like the conversation that I feel like we were having with Bryce Eldridge right out of the draft, where Eldridge was a big guy that was moving so well on the mound, and you said like he could be a sinker slider ground ball guy
Yeah.
on the
Yeah.
hill, and he could also be a prodigious power first baseman. Well, he scrapped the sinker slider ground ball guy. He moves like somebody that can hammer the knees
Yeah.
all the time, but he's got louder stuff than that.
And you mentioned the walk rate. I do just think the walk rate's higher because his stuff moves too much. And so it's just a matter of harnessing that because he's getting, ridiculous sweep to the glove side on his sweeper and on his breaking ball, on his curveball. And then he's getting a ton of run to the arm side on his two-seamer. So, like, you look at the strike rate on the sinker or the two-seamer, it's really high. You look at the four-seamer strike rate, it's actually high. But the whole mix in a splitter and that big curveball, those are the pitches that are a little bit more challenging to land consistently. I literally just think his stuff is just moving so much. He's just learning where to start it, where for it to finish, and how much it's all just going to go in every direction. I think he's going to settle in and find that. And that's why I think the cutter has been a great addition for him too. And that pitch is crazy at like 89 and 92.
Cool. I love it. All right, we're going to get to a name that I have literally never heard before in a moment. Before that, quick break. Who is Sean Linan or Linan? Sean Linan is from Cartagena, Colombia. He's 20. He's 20 years old. I'm going to go with Linan. Linan spent a year in the Dominican in 2022, only made bullpen appearances, had a 2.08 ERA. Was a swingman at the complex in 2023, had a 4.5 ERA. Was for the most part a multi-inning reliever between Low A Rancho and the complex last year, had a 4.37 ERA. And this year in his age 20 season, he's repeating Low A, but in 5 starts and 1 relief appearance. Linan in 29 and 2/3 has allowed 4 earned runs, 15 hits, walked 10, and struck out 50. That's 15.2 strikeouts per 9. Who is Sean Linan?
I think his full name is Sean Paul Linan, which is awesome.
That's so sick.
I love it. And Cartagena, I love seeing the Colombian player representation here. It's fun, but the interesting thing with him is clearly not a big IFA guy. Clearly not I think a priority in the Dodgers system going into this year or even in last year. But when you look at what he actually did last year, he was pretty good. It's just there's so many good prospects and so many arms in that system. You're probably not going to pay as much attention to him, but he had a 31% strikeout rate. The reason why is he's got one of the more unique changeups in minor league baseball. And you could argue that his changeup alone, and I understand that it's at Low A, but if you're just saying relative to level, it might be the best pitch in the minor leagues right now. It's in terms of performance, I think it is the performing as the best pitch in the minor leagues right now. Is it going to perform that way in high A, double A? I don't know. But this thing is like a screwball. And he gained a tick this year. So he was 91 on the fastball last year. He's like 92.5. So the changeup was 80. Now it's like 81 and change. Here's some crazy numbers for you. He's thrown the changeup 27% of the time. I know you're watching it right now.
I'm also looking at the numbers.
46% swinging strike rate. That's swinging strikes per pitch.
Yeah.
Not per swing, per pitch. So half the time he's throwing it, not only is it a strike, it's a swinging strike. Just for reference, a good swinging strike rate would be like 16%, 15%. 46%. It's a 58% chase rate. So the fastball gets some run and ride. He can spin it. And then the changeup is so high spin off of it that I think you can't identify it out of the hand. And then it gets 17 horizontal and 0 vert. It's like a screwball.
Yeah, dude. I mean, this is nuts. And opponents have a 184 OPS against it. They're 2 for 37 with 32 strikeouts.
Like, what are you doing?
I don't know.
You stick this man. Stick him in the bullpen, and like I'm cool with like developing him as a starter, see what happens now. But like he could just go in the bullpen and throw. He could Tommy Kahnle that thing, man. He could just throw 80% changeups. He's only throwing them 27% of the time. That's the crazy part too. Like he's throwing his fastball a lot and still having success. So the other thing that I think has helped him this year is he's adjusted the breaking ball because that pitch was just his slider was not good last year, and like. It got crushed and it was like 82 miles per hour. Now he's adjusted to this more hybrid cutterish slider and it's not great, but it's fine at 86 and it gives him a third distinct speed and it just gives him a third pitch he can mix in here. But the thing is like, I'm telling you about a pitch that is fine or like maybe pretty good. I'd say closer to fine. And he's throwing it only 5% less than the pitch that may be performing the best in minor league baseball, which I appreciate because I'm sure the Dodgers are like, you can always up the usage. We don't need you throwing it all the time right now. Let's see you get outs other ways. But you can always up the usage. So
Sure.
if this is a guy that you end up just going in shorter spurts and going 50% changeup, he can get big league guys out because that pitch is gnarly.
Disgusting. Like, and just watching it right now, like that pitch is absolutely disgusting. That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Is
11
he?
strikeouts, real quick. 11,
Yeah.
8, 10, 11.
Man.
That was the first four starts of the season.
In a different way, he could be Edgardo Enriquez. And Enriquez did it by throwing 104, but this guy can ride a changeup to the big leagues in 1 year.
Yeah, I mean, if that thing keeps moving the way that it's moving and getting the same amount of ridiculous swings against more advanced hitters, which it might just because it's such a unique pitch. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean they could fast track him too.
That's so cool. Also, Cartagena, Colombia has given us Gio Urshela, Julio Teheran, Raver San
Donovan
Martin,
Solano.
maybe Donovan Solano, Harold Ramirez, Oscar Mercado, Dilson Herrera, great pull. Orlando Cabrera, no,
They might be from like a little bit further on the coast. Tehran
maybe.
Guerrero as well.
Tehran Guerrero is from Boca Chica
Uh
in
huh.
Colombia.
Okay.
So
All right.
interesting. But all right, next guy we got to talk about LSU guy. And I feel like this is one of the very few LSU starters that nobody really knew much about, and it's Gage Jump. Gage Jump was a second round pick of the A's last year out of LSU. And Jump started his college career at UCLA. Last year at LSU, after missing 2023 with injury, 83 innings at a 3.47 ERA, but the strikeout and walk numbers were really good. In 83 innings, he punched 101 and walked just 22. And so far this year with High A Lansing, 31 innings across 5 starts and a relief appearance. He's got a 2.32 ERA. In 31 innings, 21 hits, punched out 45 and walked 5. And he's beating guys with the heater, no?
Yeah. Huh. The heater's crazy, and it's up 2.5 ticks, or at least a tick and a half from last year, which I think just getting healthy has been great. It's actually two full ticks from last year, and then you look at the characteristics. I mean, well, one, he has a little bit of a built-in, like, I think, timing disruptor with
It's
him.
so weird. It is so weird. And I'll get up and do it right now.
Because
But
I
you
know I
explain.
know you love the guys that like would make you think the arm is coming back around at a certain point and then it doesn't. Like,
But it's so weird because like even starting from the delivery, right? So it's so slow stepping back. It's so slow. He rocks back, he takes his time, and then when he gets here, he just goes. Like from the leg kick, like again, slow, 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 and then he goes.
yeah,
And like the arm is bizarre too,
the
man.
arm action is what would throw me off. I feel like if I was looking from like a home plate vantage point because he brings it down and you're right, it's like slow, slow, but then he brings it down. He drops his arm all the way down, but then there's this like hesitation back behind him, and then he goes. So like I feel like if you're the hitter, you're thinking the arm is coming maybe a split second quicker than it does, but then the
Probably.
body's coming at you, and so he like rocks you, he lulls you. Then it looks like he's going to jump at you, but then he gives you a little bit of a hesitation, and then it comes back around, and then you get crazy characteristics and specs on the pitch, which I mean, we're talking about it's a 5.5 release height. So that's well below average. And he's getting 19 inches of vert. That's elite ride that he's getting on that fastball. That
Yeah.
now is 95 miles per hour. So that's playing like a borderline plus heater.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and just looking at like the specs on it too, everything about this guy screams nightmares. And I'm just watching like him snap off sliders too. It looks a little bit more like a slurve than a true slider. From that delivery and from that arm action, I mean, that can be a nasty, nasty pitch. And he'll get swings over the top of that. I feel like sometimes and now, like the it pitch being the sweeper, we get so many swings underneath breaking balls at this point because guys are almost like overestimating the amount that it will break.
Mhm.
With Jump, I feel like he is that taste breaker where guys are going to underestimate the amount that his slider is actually going to break. Like nobody's going to run the barrel into that.
Well, especially because you're as a hitter, I mean, you're getting a low release, high carry fastball.
You're geared up for that.
You're
Let her
trying to get
high.
on top of that, and then he snaps that from there. It's a tunnel nightmare, I think, for hitters, and that's why he's able to back leg that to righties, and then he's got this more true curveball that he'll throw left on left that also just has that depth and just vertical drop to it. And then he does have like a, a pretty sweepy like slider as well. I would say it's actually just a true sweeper. So he's got the regular slider and then a sweeper and a curveball. That sweeper left on left, I could imagine from that release has got to be really tough too.
For sure.
The fact that he's got the fastball that could be plus plus and then a trio of breaking balls that he can kind of use to hitters of both handedness. This guy might have as much helium as anybody. And I'm looking at him as a potential top 100 prospect when we update this. I mean, last time out, dude, he just went 8 innings of 1-run ball, 8 Ks. The last 3 starts for this dude in high A, 19 and 2/3 innings, 1 earned run, 0 walks, 28 strikeouts.
Wow.
Crazy stuff.
Nuts. Absolutely nuts. We got 2 more guys that we got to talk through. Both initialed RS. First one that we're going to do is actually a recent guest on the program. It was a great conversation with Robby Snelling in the Miami Marlins last week. I would go check that out. Robby Snelling, to this point, the numbers look a little bit skewed because of what has happened over the last 2 starts. Snelling struggled. He ended up walking 5 his last time out, actually on Thursday. But 21-year-old, you forget Robby Snelling is
and also very
repeating.
21.
Yeah, like super 21 for the entire year. Won't turn 22 until December 19th of this year. But this guy's in Double-A for the 3rd year in a row. Through 6 starts, it's 28 innings. He's got a 3.86 ERA, but that was sitting in the ones 2 starts ago. 35 punch-outs and 12 walks in 28 innings. And again, that walk number skewed because he walked 5 last time out.
Yeah.
This guy has been in control and been dominant to open the year.
Yeah, and you talked about it after the Birmingham start where he was a little bit shaky and just trying to get right. And he made some mechanical adjustments going into the year, which he talked about, which were really fascinating. And I think sometimes when you make those changes, there's going to be points early in the season where your body wants to go back to where it was before, and you got to just kind of get that muscle memory going again. And I'm sure there's just a little blip there where he's going to try to get it right. But the reason why his stock is rising is he talked about it in the interview that we did, like his velocity is up. And for him, that's huge because look, I know you look at the walks, 9 of those 12 have come in the last 2 appearances. I'm not worried about him walking guys long-term. I don't think anybody really is. I don't even think he's worried about it. He talked about it. He was pissed after he walked a few, right before he came on the podcast with us, but he's a 3-pitch, and now 4, but going into this year, it was 3-pitch pitchability guy that you felt at least would be that 5 starter that could just get outs, right? And then you see that velocity now get back up. For a pitchability guy, if you're able to get that velo up a tick, that makes a big difference, especially for a southpaw. If you get that velo up 2 ticks, which he has this year, that's massive. We're talking about, I think, average velo for a lefty is about 93 something. He was slightly below that. Now he's slightly above that.
Yeah.
He's getting also another 1.5 inches of vert on his fastball. So you could probably say that fastball went from 40 grade to potentially 55.
Yeah.
And that's a big shift. And then you also add in, and as he talked about in the interview, with the Padres, it kind of told him, hey, let's not throw this curveball as much. And that curveball is it's part of his identity as a pitcher. Yeah. So he was very happy to get that back involved. And then that curveball being a tick harder, I think curveballs, it makes a huge difference if you can maintain the shape and throw it harder. Then he also has improved the changeup shape, and I think that's helped him. And then also added this gyro slider, which isn't, a groundbreaking wipeout pitch, but the fact that he has a 4th offering now that can get him some ground balls, I think is huge. So assuming that this little tough stretch of, command over the last 2 starts doesn't continue, his stock is rising quick because he was a consensus top 50 prospect, at least top 100, when he jumped out and bursted out of the scene in his pro debut, quickly went to the wayside last year with just hitting a bit of a snag. And now he's showing better stuff than he showed when he was a consensus top 100 prospect. So I think that's why you look at Snelling and say, this guy's back in the top 100 consideration, and that's why his stock's going up.
For sure. Also, is it old school to say that you like curveballs now? Like it's funny. It's almost like everybody wants to get away from a curveball. They want to add a sweeper. Everyone wants to add a sweeper, but they don't want to add a curveball. I don't understand why. Like a curveball can be a good pitch. I understand that it's like the one that will kind of hang and it's much easier to hang and much more often hung than a slider. Um, and like listen, a Matthew Liberator, I totally get it. Same
Yeah.
with a Mackenzie Gore, right? It's like, oh, it looks like Kershaw. Okay, because it's a slow, big arcing left-handed curveball, but the slider was the one that performed better. With a guy like Snelling, if you can snap off that low 80-mile-an-hour curveball, the power curve should come back,
Oh,
and I think we're at the point where it is coming back.
I love the curveball if you have the slider. So like, because
Yeah,
then I
sure,
think those, because if it's just the curveball, then guys can see the spin, kind of see it pop out of the hand, and
sure,
maybe they shut that down a little bit more easily. But that's why I love the curveball supplemented with the gyro slider. I think it makes his curveball better. But I'm
yeah,
with you, like especially for the guys where it's a natural throw. Like if you already have the curveball,
yeah.
throw it. That's a natural throw for you. If you're more naturally spin the slider, I could understand why trying to teach a curveball could be a little bit more difficult. But
Yeah.
if he's already got it, why take him off that course? And this is what we're gonna see in baseball. Like it's gonna be one of those things where we're always chasing our own tail, where
Yeah.
hitters are gonna train for a pitch and like they are for sweepers, and we're already seeing the sweeper trend slow down a little bit.
Yeah.
Like hitters are gonna overtrain shapes and train a pitch. They're gonna start to hit that pitch better, and then pitchers are gonna start to lean into something else. And then
Yeah.
it's going to happen again. And then we're just going to keep doing this thing over and over and over again, and just keep running in circles.
The changeup comeback is going to be awesome. I can't
Yeah.
wait for I can't wait for everybody to be like, "Hey, there's this new pitch," and you almost like make a circle between your index and your
And
thumb. Oh,
then
you
and
made
then
a
you want to,
circle changeup?
yeah.
Like I can't wait for that. And they're going to
Well,
call it something fun and interesting.
that's if hitters ever find a way to pick up these splitters.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, these splitters are just stupid.
That pitch may never go anywhere.
I don't think it's going anywhere. And like, listen, if that split isn't going anywhere, I don't think Dr. Elatrosh and Dr. Meister are going
No,
anywhere either.
no.
So they're going to be in business for a little bit. All right, last guy that we got to talk about here is Ryan Sloan of the Seattle Mariners. And this guy we talked about as being so mature for being a cold weather high school kid.
Mm-hmm.
Mariners took him in the second round last year at a York High School in Elmhurst, Illinois. And Sloan threw 5 starts, 16 and a third innings at a 3.31 ERA. He's K'd 19 and walked 5. His delivery is a thing of beauty. It is so much fun to watch a big guy get down, low release. Metrically, it doesn't look like an elite fastball in terms of vertical and horizontal movement, but he throws hard.
Yeah.
He gets down on the mound well, and his entire arsenal works off of each other. Like,
Yeah.
this is a guy that looks like he was a 4-year college arm, and he's a
Yeah.
high school arm from the Chicago suburbs.
Yeah. And another reason why I think this draft class, when we look back at it, could be special. And it could be a lot better, or at least a lot better than we thought. But I'm glad you mentioned the fastball specs. Like that's probably the one quote unquote drawback. But the reason why I'm not that concerned about it is he's 6'5", 220. He's 19 years old. And as you mentioned, his delivery is so smooth and low effort. And the release point for a guy that's 6'5" is well below average. So I think that ride is going to play up a little bit more and it's going to get on hitters a little bit quicker. What stands out to me is how smooth that delivery is, how much more velo I think could be in there, given that it's low effort at 95.5 already at 19 years old and how big he is. And then we're talking about splitters. His splitter is already solid and he has a decent feel for it. And his sweeper is gross. So it's, I think, one of the more impressive sweepers at the lower levels where it's got that late sharp bite and he's speeding you up with he's touching 98 already. Then has that sharp bite with the sweeper and he's landing it pretty well. And then he's got that splitter. He's also mixed in this upper 80s cutter, which I think is a great compliment to the arsenal because again, that sweeper could get big, could be a little bit hard to consistently land. Now he's
Sure.
got that bridge pitch somewhat.
Yeah.
I just think he could be a rocket ship because, and I don't want to put this on him. Like I'm not saying he's going to become this, but you can't help but look at his delivery, look at the arsenal and the trajectory and the team he's with and say, this is a Logan Gilbert type of starter kit where like, if you can just apply some of the things that, that have worked with him and the splitter that Logan Gilbert found and has been a game changer for him. If he's 70% of Logan Gilbert, you're thrilled. But I think there's a lot of similarities to them. I don't remember what a 19-year-old Logan Gilbert looked like. And I'm sure Sloan is ahead of what a 19-year-old Logan Gilbert looked like. But that's why I think it's exciting to kind of see those similarities and just say, hey, there could be something special that he can grow into.
That Logan Gilbert splitter might just be one of the best pitches in baseball. Like it gets negative point 0.5 inches of horizontal break, and it spins at under 800 RPM at
That's
84
crazy.
miles an hour. Like it's one of the dumbest pitches that I've ever seen live. Like
Yeah.
I was floored by that pitch. So he may not have an 80 grade split like Gilbert, and I think Gilbert's split is close to 80 grade.
Yeah.
It's like he's up there with Sasaki at this point. But I mean, I just kind of close my eyes and I see such an unbelievably well-rounded four. Like it's everything I wanted Emerson Hancock to be,
Oh,
but
yeah.
louder stuff, and he's got 3 more years to work on that before he gets to Hancock's point because Hancock was a college kid.
Yeah. That's the crazy thing. I'm imagining a Ryan Sloan if he went to college. I mean,
Oh, dude. I mean, he'd be freshman All-American this year. Like, there's no doubt.
and that's why I'm thinking like, and that's the thing with Gilbert is like, Gilbert didn't have the splitter working like that, when he was 19 years old. So I'm just interested to see what that development path can look like and how much more could be in there. And Gilbert's velo also, he averages 95.5 now. He was more in the low 90s, I think, at points, earlier in his professional career, or at least, I think in college. So it's I'm very fascinated just to see what the development looks like. And he
Yeah.
may just end up being that really solid, just pitchability, innings eater with good stuff. But I also could see that uptick to where, I mean, there was points last year where we were seeing Gilbert at the end of the season sitting upper 90s. So
Yeah.
like it's because he's big and athletic, and there's a lot of similarities, at least in that regard, to Sloan. So I just think you can dream on a crazy ceiling. But to your point, the floor is also really high because you can already see three quality pitches and just already a good feel and good delivery.
For sure. That's what we got, man.
That's it. We got Blue Jays next week. Top prospects for the Blue Jay system as we wind down to probably the final six farm systems there. So excited about that. And then we will figure out what the second episode will be next week. Maybe a check in on performers and things like that as well. But
May
definitely
also
good.
be draft, right?
Yeah, we all. Oh, yeah, that's true. We got a draft check in as well, and we could have a pretty fun player interview coming up next week. So a few things up in the air, but look forward to that. I think you guys will be excited about the interview and also just the whether we go the draft route. I know we're definitely going to go Blue Jays. It's going to be a fun week on the call up. Reminder to join our Discord. We'd love to have you in there. We're answering prospect questions in there all the time and talking ball all the time, and it's been really fun. Whether it's the major league side, prospects, drafts, college betting for folks who like that. Cards. We've been talking about the Bowman baseball. Yeah, just checklist and everything there. And on top of that, we're going to be doing a Bowman baseball break exclusive to the Discord next week as well. So if you join, you get an opportunity to buy into a discounted spot in our Bowman case break. So that link to join is in the episode description. Look forward to talking prospects with you guys next week. Have a great weekend and happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there.